In this segment, we'll take a look at the vent calculation. I will go ahead and start a new calculation by clicking on the new calculation button. Note that you have to be in a project in order to do that. So if you have your demo project open, or if you've started a new project, you just go ahead and click new calculation, type in the calculation name. I call this one demo 2, and then pick heating, appliance, venting, and supply. Click continue. Now, in order to demonstrate the functions, I'm just going to go ahead and draw a section in here real quick so we can go over the menus. I'm going to go ahead and pick just a B vent and go ahead and draw a section on the screen, and then I'm also going to go ahead and click on appliance, and I'm just going to put a generic appliance in here and say that this is a draft hooded appliance. Then I'll place that on the screen, and I'm just going to take that, and you can see the green marker and the red X is where it connects to the vent section. Now if you notice, it has to connect to the bottom of the vent. You can see the flow direction is going up on this section. So I'm just doing this now to be able to go over the menu up here. As you already saw, clicking on the appliance will draw an appliance. Clicking on a label, we can add a label, text, image. Under selection, we can highlight that, and that allows us to select each individual component. We have clipboard, copy, cut, paste. If I highlight these by just dragging the mouse around them, I can copy and paste and then drag them into place. I'm just going to go ahead and delete those new ones. Under the modify menu, we have undo, redo, the delete button that I just used, and then a button to reverse the direction on any highlighted section. So we'll get to that under the more advanced drawing techniques. For zoom, there's a plus and a minus button. You can click on the plus and minus, but it is actually easier if you have a mouse wheel to just roll the mouse wheel, and it will zoom in and zoom out. Also, at the same time, if you press down the mouse wheel, it turns into a panning function. So now you have the ability to zoom in, zoom out just from the mouse, and then also if you press the center mouse button or the mouse wheel and hold it down, then you can pan the drawing. You're actually not moving anything, you're panning the drawing. You don't have to have anything selected to do this. And then finally, if you just want to see everything and zoom to the window size here, you can just click zoom full, and it'll highlight everything and zoom to 100%. Under view, you have the ability to draw fittings. We'll get to some of these functions under the more advanced. Draw auto scale, which in some case you want to disable, but we'll keep it on for now. And then also for users on slower hardware, if you run into problems where you don't think moving things, it gets choppy. If you have an older computer, you may be better off using the schematic view, which will just show an outline of the components. So let's say if I highlight the appliance now, you'll see it's going to be grayed out. You can see that the connection points are now just green dots, and you can drag this over and it'll snap onto the bottom. You still have to pay attention to the direction of the section, but if you draw more sections, you can see that it comes off of the end of that, and it only shows an outline of it, and that obviously makes it faster for the computer. So if you highlight things and move them around, it's not as resource intensive as using the fully rendered system. And I'll switch back and show the details, and you can see now it'll render the fitting. back to the view. If you don't want to draw the actual fittings, you can uncheck that, and now it'll just show a circle that has a fitting symbol in there. That could be something you want to use from time to time if you get into any odd angles where the fitting cannot be rendered properly. I'll keep that on for now. Then there's also a print function. There's a calculate button, and then of course buttons to save the layout and close the layout. If we continue down this way, we'll find the menu for the vent sections, and you can see if I highlight any section or multiple sections, it'll fill in the information. This is also where you make changes. So in this case, if I want to take this and say I want to change it to a square or rectangular, I can do that. We'll keep it at round. You can change to optimize the vent size. This is also where you can change the vertical height and the horizontal length. In this case we have the 6 feet. If I change that to 7 feet, notice how the autoscale function automatically scales and moves the other sections. So let's say if I take this one, and instead of an 8-foot section, I'll change it to a 10-foot section, it changes the length. If I had, let's say if I take this and I copy and paste and I move this over this way, and then I can just zoom full. Now it automatically creates a T for me in this section. So if I still have the auto scale on, which can be unchecked from here, or you can also uncheck so it doesn't draw a new section to auto scale. Let's say if I still have that on and I now change my 10-foot section to a 15-foot section, you'll see that it automatically moves the other components to make the space for it. And the same way, if I change it back to, let's say, an 8-foot section, it'll also change the length. Now this is also where you can change the fittings. Notice that I never picked any of the fittings as I drew the sections, because it automatically puts in the appropriate fittings that would normally be used. But let's say if we, instead of having the 90-degree elbow at the end, we want to go ahead and put in a manifold T. I can just highlight it, and then if you look at the flow direction, you can see that this is the inlet of the section, this is the outlet of the section. So I'm going to go here and set the inlet to be a manifold T, like that. So now it put in a regular T. So if I go ahead and highlight one of the appliances, all the appliance data will show up on the right side. In this case, we selected the generic draft hood appliance. We can go in, we can change the minimum and maximum values on the input. And we can also change the CO2 temperature rise as necessary, high and low outlet pressure. It's always going to be 0.01 for draft hooded appliances. And then finally, we can go and set the outlet diameter. Before I proceed with the actual calculation, I just want to cover some of the drawing techniques in the new FanCalc. It is pretty important that you know what to do, and especially what not to do with this new layout. One of the things, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete everything on the drawing right now. Let me start with the anti-pattern. One thing you do not want to do in the new version is start by placing the appliances on the screen first, simply because in most times you want to draw to scale, and there's really no way for you to place these on the drawing where you want them, and then fit the vent sections afterwards. They're not going to match up. So the best way to do it is to draw the entire vent system and then place the appliances afterwards. So let me go ahead and get rid of these two, and then I'm going to start a section Now I'm going to go ahead and say yes to optimize it, and just basically start by setting the model that I want, and then just explain a little bit about the coordinates that you see here on the screen. And I'm going to zoom in, and you can see that we have X, Y, and Z basically set up as an isometric view. So anytime you draw straight up or going up the y-axis, it's considered vertical. Anytime you go in any other direction than vertical, it's automatically considered horizontal. So right now, if I want to draw sideways, I would follow the x-axis. If I want to go deep, then I follow the z-axis. So if you picture a plan view, basically what you want to do is take that plan view and pretty much rotate it 45 degrees clockwise. So anything that you would normally have going sideways is now going in this direction, and anything going deep or towards yourself would now be going out the z-axis. That's really the easiest way to do it.